Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we can start now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Jaya. So should I turn the video or without video?
As you prefer, Prabhu.
Let's try without video and let's see how it goes. So can you, I don't know, say something? Where are you at? Why am I particularly speaking on this particular verse?
Prabhu, we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, as you know already, that we have been doing it for the last 4 years. And we have reached up to the point of, the 5th canto, the descendants of Maharaj Priyavrat.
Yes.
So we are discussing what dharma really means.
What the Dharma really means.
Yes. So we thought this would be a nice verse in this context.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Hare Krishna. I will read this. Dharmasya hyapavargasya nartha artayopakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. All occupation engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Can I just ask you, what did you do so far? I mean, did you do some other verses regarding Dharma or?
Prabhu, we've been going in a sequence, like from 1st canto up to 5th.
Okay.
So this is like, so whatever you discussed before the 5th canto will all be in like a sequence, will be a part of this.
Okay. Anyway, so I'm reading this verse. If you have any question while I'm speaking, you can just ask. While I'm speaking, it's okay. So, purport. We have already discussed that pure devotional service to the Lord is automatically followed by perfect knowledge and detachment from material existence. But there are others who consider that all kinds of different occupational engagements, including those of religion, are meant for material gain. The general tendency of an ordinary man in any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religious or any other occupational service. Even in the Vedic literatures, for all sorts of religious performances, and allurements of material gain is offered, and most people are attracted by such allurements or blessings of religiosity. Why are such so-called men of religion allured by material gain? Prabhupada says, because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfy sense gratification. This cycle of occupational engagements includes so-called religiosity followed by material gain, and material gain followed by fulfillment of desires. Sense gratification is the general way for all sorts of fully occupied men. But in the statement of Sutta Goswami, as per the verdict of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is nullified by the present shloka. One should not engage himself in any sort of occupational service for material gain only, nor should material gain be utilized for sense gratification. How material gain should be utilized is described as follows. So, dharmasya hyapavargasya narto artayopakalpate nartasya dharma kantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. Hare Krishna. So I thought when I was reading this verse, some things which really came to my mind and which to me speaks from this verse is first of all, dharmasya, occupational engagement, hyapavargyasya, is certainly for ultimate liberation. So that this is the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam is this dharma is meant only ultimately for liberation. And then just to negate, in the Shastras always said, do this and don't do this. Whatever is offered, what to do is also offered, not what not to do. Na artha arthaya, not for the material gain. The end should not be for the material gain, because every activity has its own end, has its own goal. Whatever we do, actually, although we think we are just living our lives in the world, but whatever we do, actually, there's a certain goal to be achieved. When you are young, your goal is to play, and your goal is to get satisfaction from the play. We had here in Shivindavan Dham, and I was reading how Krishna was playing so much. Krishna and Balaram played so much that they forgot to eat. And the Maria Yashoda has to come out and bring them food because they did not eat. So the goal of their playing was just pure satisfaction, pure pleasure. So later on, in our lives, when we get to school, there's a goal to why are we doing the school? It's not like we are going to school because we like it or we enjoy going to school and learning subjects which are really not interesting to us. But there's a goal to be achieved. And the goal is to get whatever points you have, you can go to university, and ultimately you can get a job which pays enough that you can, whatever the people have reasons why they go to universities. We were also a little bit, before we came to India, we were in these Gulf countries, Emirates, and some people explained to us that they were forced to go to get this job because of their family. Family wanted them to earn the money. So it's like an interesting concept that you were working to actually satisfy your parents, to pay your sister's wedding or whatever the story it is. But there's always goal to it. So dharma, occupational engagement, is the ultimate end is apavargasya. The ultimate end is the liberation from material existence. This is the goal of activities as someone perform dharma, not artha arthaya. Not the end is not the material gain. So this is the message of the Bhagavatam. That the goal of all activities is actually ultimate liberation. So, upakalpate is meant for neither artasya or material gain, dharma eka antasya, for one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, kama, labhaya, smritaha. Sense gratification, attainment of sense gratification is neither the goal of the dharma. So neither material gain nor sense gratification. And the very important verse, the Sanskrit word at the very end, smritaha, is described by the great sages. This is important because this again, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a whimsical book. Srimad Bhagavatam is actually relished even by the great liberated sages. So it says that these are the actually advice of all the sages is described by the great sages. Smritaha, meaning the great sages, how did they describe? Nowadays we have a lecture. Like right now we are listening to a lecture on Zoom. But their Zoom lecture was writing the Upanishads, for example, or writing the whatever, Srila Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, and so on. So this was their, this was their Zoom lecture, described by the sages, Smritaha. Once one devotee asked Virabahu Prabhu, I don't know if you know Virabahu Prabhu, he's a senior spiritual master from South America, Grihasta. And they ask him, is it everything coming from God or everything is coming from man, all your books? And he says, everything comes from man in ultimate issue. Of course, we know the scriptures are Apaurushaya, not written by anybody, but transmitted by humans. So therefore, this Smriti actually described by the great sages. What we're reading, Bhagavatam and all this is all spoken by various personalities. Shukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami, Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, this is all spoken by these people. So they all advise one thing only. Dharma should be used ultimately for liberation and not for material satisfaction, material gain, and ultimately and absolutely not for sense gratification. So I looked a little bit of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was quoting this verse many times. He gave a lecture on this verse. And he says the apavarga in this apavarga. A means negation of pavarga. And pavarga, Prabhupada explained this is coming from parishrama, or the labor. Because he said, Prabhupada says, in the material world, to satisfy their senses, it's not so easy. It's not like now, you just say, okay, I want to satisfy my senses, and I went to whatever, Sweden and Finland, wherever you are, and then you say, okay, I'm here I am, I want to satisfy my senses. This is not so easy. You have to pay the apartment, yourselves, your students, you have to pay so many bills, and if you want to enjoy, then you have to actually earn lots of money, and to earn lots of money you have to actually work a lot. So Prabhupada gives this quote from Arjuna, Sharira yatrapi chatena prasidaya da karmana. This is 3.8 Bhagavad Gita. That even in some ordinary thing, you have to work very hard. Because Krishna says to Arjuna, you are denying to fight, because Arjuna said, I don't want to fight anymore. I'll give up this bow. His bow fell from his hands, and he said, oh Govinda, I shall not fight. I cannot do this. But Krishna says, even if you deny to fight, you do not know that without fighting, you cannot even live, Prabhupada says. You cannot even maintain your body. Sharira yatrapi. So everything, we have to work in this material world. This material world is meant for working, forcing a person to work. Perhaps in the heavenly planets, people don't need to work so much. I don't know. Anybody been to heavenly planets recently from the audience? No response.
No, Prabhuji, we haven't.
Sorry?
No, Prabhuji, we certainly haven't.
You haven't been any recently. Okay. So the point is that in this particular planet, you have to work hard. So it says here, pavarga means one should not work very hard for material gain. Prabhupada gives this example as many times, which is very difficult to understand actually for human being, that in Africa, the Krishna provides food for the elephant. Is that there are millions of elephants, and each of them are eating is at least 82 pounds at a time. This is a lot of food, and Krishna provides for all of this. And Prabhupada says the elephants have no economic problem. They have no bank balance. So how they are eating, Prabhupada says, how are the elephants eating? Prabhupada says this needs to be studied. Then why, Prabhupada says, why are you so much busy for fulfilling the belly with 2 chapatis? So this is, it's a humorous example, but it's a very difficult concept to understand. The Krishna actually supplies everything. That the actual Dharma is to actually let Krishna be in charge of our lives. I was also, and not that we think that this material world, we have to actually, overlord the material world. I was looking a little bit about the one of the classical Indian philosophies, materialism. It's called Lokayata or Charvaka philosophy. Prabhupada quoted this famous verse that somehow or other one should beg, borrow, steal, ghee, because there's no other life. So it doesn't matter do you have a good name or fame, or if you did sacrifice or not, it doesn't matter, because the main thing is somehow or other to enjoy life. This is the Prabhupada quoted this many times from Charvaka philosophy. This is the materialistic philosophy in India, one of the philosophies of India. So this is Indian materialism, and I thought this is interesting also to compare, to see what is materialism actually, and why we, even as devotees or aspiring devotees, are engaged in this lokayata, this materialistic philosophy without even knowing. And here it is. Listen to what it is. First of all, Indian materialism refers to the school of thought within Indian philosophy that rejects supernaturalism. Supernaturalism means that we don't accept that there is some higher being who is actually direct, or beings, as we know, that 33 million demigods are actually directing the the whole material world, basically, particularly our planet. That we actually just the things are not running by themselves. There are people who are managing this material universe, and Prabhupada says that 33 primal, that million demigods who are actually doing this. So meaning the materialists, they don't understand that there's something higher. So materialism, one who is materialist cannot understand how these elephants are eating in the forest. Or at least they will not accept that Krishna maintains this maintains the elephants in the forest, in the jungle. So this is the first concept of materialism. It rejects the existence of otherworldly entities such as immaterial soul or God and the afterlife. So this is the first thing. And how do they perceive the world? They perceive the world through philosophical import, by way of a scientific and naturalistic approach to metaphysics. So meaning that the materialists, they're perceiving the world as through the science. So basically, whatever is not scientific, they reject it. So they reject every kind of, as I said again, claim that Krishna maintains, that Krishna supplies, because they have not seen Krishna. So there are two questions in this materialistic philosophy. The first question is what there is. What is there in this material? What is there? Like, what is this world? So according to them, there is no anything outside what we see. So this is the first thing. And the second thing is, how do we know things? This is called in the philosophy called epistemology. How do we know things that we know things? So according to the materialistic philosophy, Charvaka philosophy, it's just because we see certain things that repeating themselves, the habits of association, meaning that we see things repeating themselves, and therefore we said we can reflectively articulate into rules of epistemic practice, meaning that we see this, something is going on repeatedly, and we think, okay, then we can measure it. And then we start believing that these things exist because we have seen it first. In the religious worldview, we first say it is Krishna who arranged this, and then we kind of see how the Krishna arranged this. So it's two different viewpoints. I don't know if you can understand. And Lokayata or Charvaka school recognize perception or pratyaksha alone as a reliable source of knowledge. And they rejected the inference and the shabda. Anuman and shabda is rejected by the Charvakas. So I'm just saying this is a materialistic philosophy. So we as devotees, if we are perceiving also Dharma in such a way, that means that we are very much influenced by the materialistic philosophies. That we do not, our pramanas, although we may claim I'm a devotee, actually my pramana is I accept only the first pramana. This is what I see. This is interesting that we actually secretly maintain this materialistic mentality. And but maintaining this materialistic mentality is such that we think that Krishna actually, in certain circumstances does not exist. This is an interesting thing. That we are doing something else, because we can say, okay, we chant Hare Krishna and we do our, things, duties or dharma, which we're supposed to do, serving Krishna in the capacity I can. But in some circumstances, we act in such a way as Charvaka school advises, in a materialistic way. So therefore, we have to recognize this point. So what is the time? 9:30. The key point for me in the purport, what Srila Prabhupada says in this verse is when he says, why are such so-called men of religion allured by material gain? And this Prabhupada gives very good answer, because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfies sense gratification. So basically, when we find ourselves as aspiring devotees or as aspiring spiritualists, thinking in this materialistic way, this is because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires. That means that we have certain desires which need to be materialistic desires, which need to be fulfilled. And therefore, in our minds, we justify these desires and we act in this non-dharmic way. Or we use Dharma, as Prabhupada says here in the beginning, Dharma should never be used for the material gain. We use Dharma for material gain. We use even Hare Krishna mantra. We chant Hare Krishna mantra and pray to Krishna to pass the exam, for example. Or pray to Krishna to whatever material gain we want to have, good wife, a good husband, or, So we using these things as a Dharma, but for materialistic gain. And these are the reasons that we have certain desires which need to be fulfilled. So the goal of all the Dharma, as it says in the beginning, is to do Dharma Hyapavargasya. It's the ultimately liberation. So liberation of this material world, we have to be free from this materialistic desires, as I say here. Fulfill desires which in turn satisfy sense gratification. We have to be free from this, and only then can we actually hope to go, as we call it, back to Godhead, or achieve the ultimate liberation from the material existence. And this is the message of the Bhagavatam. And this is the difficulties which we'll be all going through, because we have to live our lives. And how many times, last couple of months, especially when we were in Emirates, so many Indian devotees and many students, and they all more or less ask, how can I adjust my material life to fit into somehow or other to practice Krishna consciousness? But because we have so many duties to do, we have so many things to do. So this is the dilemma. This is the dilemma with this. But the point is that we should understand this, and we should slowly develop a knowledge so we can act in such a way which is not anything else but going towards the ultimate gain. So I found this Prabhupada letter to Prabhupada. The reading in a class for 2 hours is sufficient, and other reading can be done in a spare time if one has got it. It is not that one has to be always reading. 1 hour morning of Bhagavatam class and 1 hour evening, either Bhagavad Gita or Nectar Devotion, that is sufficient. So Prabhupada wanted devotees to read, and the reason why Prabhupada wants devotees to read, is to slowly develop knowledge, because without knowledge, we cannot act properly. There's a tendency in everybody in this material world. Again, this lokayata, or this philosophy of Charvaka, the name is because loka, is because of the people. It's also translated as the philosophy of the people. So materialism is the common thing amongst the people. This we have to understand, and we are the people. So we are all influenced, although you may be from India, or I may be from whatever country, or Sweden, or Finland, or Germany. But the point is that we are the people, and people are influenced by this lokayata philosophy, means materialistic philosophy. People are, if you leave people alone without, as you say, harassing them to apply dharma in their lives, they will actually just be simply engaged in sense gratification. This is the nature of everybody in the material world. The reason why we are living in the material world is because of this desire for sense gratification, or this material gain. So therefore, this dharma, which is presented by other philosophies other than Charvaka's philosophy, is actually there to remind us, or to train us, or to teach us that this material gain and sense gratification is not the goal of life. That the other, on the contrary, the other thing is the goal of life. So we have to somehow come from one end of the scale to the other end of the scale. And this is not easy. And this is, everybody has a different path how to get there. But the goal, as our Sampradaya presents, is not to stay in the material world. The goal of our Sampradaya is not to, as the verse of Bhagavatam itself, to gain anything materially. The goal of our Sampradaya is actually to attain ultimate liberation. And for that, we have to read, at least, and practice Krishna consciousness, and apply, and slowly, somebody can do faster, somebody can do slower, but to come to this point of, okay, now is the time for me to pursue sense Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says here on the end, this is a letter to Satsvarup, your first job should be to make sure that every one of the devotees in your zone of management is reading regularly our literature, discussing the subject matter seriously from different angles of seeing, and that they are somehow or other absorbing the knowledge of Krishna consciousness philosophy. So this, what you're doing, this is very nice. This is actually recommended by Prabhupada, and this is the way to actually direct our dharma towards the Apavarga. Regularly reading literature and discussing the subject matter seriously from different angles. If they are fully educated in our philosophy, if they can get all of the knowledge and study it from every viewpoint, then very easily they will perform tapasya or renunciation, and that will be their advancement in Krishna consciousness. So you see that the result of actually develop spiritual knowledge is to develop renunciation or tapasya. Renunciation means that we understand that this material world is not the place I should be striving, working so hard for. And therefore we can cut. Renunciation means cutting my sense gratification, cutting down my sense gratification. This is renunciation. This is tapasya. This is renunciation. And this is what Lord Chaitanya came to teach us. Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yogam, Shikshartam Eka Purusham Puranam, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhim Yastvam Ham Prapadde. So Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, that Lord Chaitanya came to teach this Vairagya Vidya. The Vairagya doesn't mean, that we go now to Vrindavan and wear gamsha and one little tiffin and eat once every couple of days. Vairagya means we cutting our sense gratification with absichtlich, purposefully, with a purpose. I understand, okay, I will cut down because for the ultimate gain. Prabhupada gives this example, Shreyas and Preyas. And the Shreyas, they are immediate sense gratification. Whatever I see something very nice and I want to buy it and eat it, or whatever I want to do. But Preyas, maybe in the beginning not the most pleasant, but they are meant for the ultimate good. So therefore, developing knowledge, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and discussing it from different angles will develop in us understanding to come to this point of these prayers, how to actually slowly, give up some of the sense gratification, and in the end, give up all the sense gratification, and at the end of his life, going back to Godhead. So Hare Krishna, thank you. Are you still there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
So would you have any question or something like this?
Yes, Anumataji, you have a question.
Go
Jai
ahead.
Prabhuji, thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
And thank
Krishna.
you so much. It was a beautiful katha. Prabhuji, you mentioned very rightly. You said we act in certain situations as if Krishna doesn't exist.
Yes.
So in certain situations, we become our own controller.
Yes.
Then
In many
how
situations.
should we, in most of the situations, yes, I agree. In most of the situations, we are our own Brahma. So then how should we help ourselves putting a stop to it or getting into a habit that I am not the controller? How should we help the situation?
Well, in the different ashrams, the brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So in different ashrams, the people perform different duties. They're different dharma for different ashrams. So if you are in a, I don't know, if you are in a grihastha ashram, even if you're not married, you will be married in the future. So this is a grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram had its own rules and its own. So if one followed the rules of a certain ashram one is in, and it slowly in this way develop this detachment and understanding that Krishna is in charge. Of course, when you have kids, you're in charge of your kids because you have to give them food. It's not that Krishna is giving them food. But you understand, okay, this child is also a soul, and I'm here, the kid, taking care of this soul for Krishna. So if you develop this knowledge, then you will see this Shastra Chakshu. You will see the world from a little bit different perspective. So therefore, it is very good to actually develop knowledge as much as possible. And in this way, like for example, when you see beautiful sunrise, and then some people will say, wow, this is such a beautiful sunrise. But I was once with one sannyasi, and he just quoted this verse that says that with every rising and setting of the sun, the life duration is shortened. Therefore, one should use one's life to practice Krishna. So he saw the sunrise in a completely different way than the other people. We were somewhere on the beach. So this is the point, that we develop sufficient knowledge and sufficient purification so we can see Krishna's action through different things. We see Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very, very much of a, he had a job, he had so many kids, and so he could say, oh, I'm very busy. But Bhaktivinoda was developing knowledge by sleeping less. This is another point. He was sleeping whatever 2-3 hours a night because he wanted to translate all the books. And he wrote this very famous song, Manasa Deko Geho Yoki Chumor Arpilun Tuva Pandananda Kishore. That your lotus feet is everything, and actually everything belongs to you. This house, my mind, my body, my household, everything belongs to you. So he considered himself just a caretaker. Of course, this is like a higher level, of understanding. But if we can, at least in our own small universe, we can apply this kind of thing, the life will be much easier. Much easier.
And also, thank you so much, Prabhuji. And also you said, understanding, there are certain words that are in the translation. Seems like how there are certain words in the translation.
Yes.
For example, the last sentence of the translation says, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification.
Yes.
Being a grihastha, there are responsibilities of the family, responsibilities of kids, and whatnot.
Yes.
So whatever occupational duty we have, we are leveraging the money that's coming to
Yes.
fulfill those duties. So the word ultimate and never use, they are not applying to us at this very moment.
Yes. Therefore, I said the different ashrams, and in Grihastha ashram, you do your dharma, your duty as a Grihastha, but and you can never see in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that Grihastha ashram is meant for self-realization. It is Vanaprastha ashram or Sannyasa ashram is meant for ultimate self-realization. So in the Grihastha ashram, because of these so many duties, we do our Grihastha duty, and we do our best. What is in our within our scope of what we do, and then when the time comes, as Srila Prabhupada says, the kids are grown up, we are 50, 60 years old. Then we have said, okay, I've done my duty as my dharma as a grihastha. Now is the time to do second step or third step, whatever. As a vanaprastha, and people go to. I see here in Vrindavan, many people they sell their houses or whatever. They live in somewhere else, and they come to Vrindavan and they just chant and visit temples. This is their next stage, looking to make us closer to this ultimate, as you said, what Prabhupada says in this translation. So we should understand, I'm not in an ideal position right now, but that doesn't mean that I am not qualified to perform devotional service. I am qualified to perform devotional service within the scope what I have. I'm limited at this moment, just like that, because nobody can say immediately, I am 100%. This is not possible. This is not possible. Ultimately, even sannyas, if you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are different stages of sannyas. It's not like immediately you take sannyas, you immediately become pure devotee. It is this Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivrajikacharya and Paramahamsa. That there's the sannyasi goes to the village, outside of the village, on the outskirts, and he just sits there, and his family comes every day bringing food. So he doesn't immediately become Paramahamsa. He just sits there a little bit. He knows I'm attached to the family, but at least I'm living he lives under some tree somewhere else. And then after some time, he becomes a little stronger, more realization. And then he leaves this and then wanders in the area where people know him, because people give him food. People know you and it's easier. And after some time, he realized, okay, this is enough. I'm ready to leave. And he becomes Parivrajikacharya. And even then, he's not a pure devotee. Pure devotee is when you actually become self-realized. So just like that, we understand how in Krishna consciousness, it's very important to understand your position. It's not like we are not meant to all be Paramahamsa tomorrow. We are meant to purify ourselves and according to our position, act in Krishna consciousness. That's all. And in this way, there will be peace. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was beautifully explained. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your inspiring association. Since you have practical experience, Prabhuji, can you please tell us that, and most of us are approaching the Vanaprastha age, that how is the Vanaprastha life in this day and age similar to or different from what is really described in the scriptures? And how do we really prepare ourselves for that?
Oh, this is a big question. This is a very big question, you see. I was thinking about this for 3 years, with my wife. How do we take Vanaprastha for 3 years? So we were thinking, how should we do this, Because there's so many actually ways. I also attended seminars some years ago about Vanaprastha ashram, and I looked a little bit. It's not easy to to say this is the way. There is no one way. There's different ways. Like even in Srimad Bhagavatam, you see there are different ways. Somebody just goes to the forest, and if you read in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vanaprastha, it's this is the most heavy thing you can. I think we will all die within 1 month if you want to follow that. You go to winter time, you go to the freezing cold river up to the neck all night. I think we'll die within half an hour. Pneumonia,
That's why, Prabhuji, I said that in this day and age, because you are practically living that life. So
yeah, so who could do this? I was thinking, I'm not going to go I can go to the forest, but I'll probably die very, very quickly, or ambulance will come to pick me up. So, and the forest nowadays, there is no really forest. You go and there's always, the police will come and arrest you, why are you illegally sleeping in the forest? So, so we were thinking about this. Well, how do we do this? And some people, as I said, they leave their things, they go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, they buy an apartment and just live in Mayapur and, go visit the temple every day and listen lectures and just live in the holy dham in the comfort of their own home. Some people are, some people start maybe a little bit more traveling, or some people are doing more, different ways. We decided we want to do like complete detachment. We kind of wanted to go to the forest as it was, but in our own version, meaning we decided, me and my wife, that we will give up the apartment and we'll have no home. And this is very difficult for a woman, I can tell you that. You suddenly have no home, nowhere to return to. And in this way, we were looking, you see, not that we just thought now we are going to, wander around the world. But we thought, we are looking for actually engagement which is suitable for us, for two of us. So we gave up things so we can actually be this Krishna. We are forced to depend on Krishna and to see Krishna's shelter. Where is what kind of shelter is Krishna offering to us? And this is very interesting. Sometimes, you go to different places or different temples or different, you're dependent on kind of on Krishna in that sense that sometimes people are not friendly, or they don't, they don't offer you even difficulty, place to sleep or whatever. So, but sometimes people are very, very nice, so we see that Krishna actually acts Krishna acts through these people. We saw Krishna in them. How Krishna, in one place, we are completely, like people don't even barely ask me to give lecture, or my wife to sing. But in another place, we were now we were just in Abu Dhabi and my wife was singing 2,500 people and we were lecturing and the whole thing, So sometimes you get like a big stage, sometimes you get no stage. But we all see this is Krishna's arrangement. We depend on Krishna. So when we this is our way, we decided to do this way. But we also not just we experienced this thing, we saw how it works, but now we want to actually engage in service which is Krishna Anushilanam, favorable to Krishna, whatever that may be. And we came to certain realizations that this is what we want to do, and this is what Krishna wants us to do. So this is the reason, not the reason, or the way we gave up our household life actually worked. This is what we saw. The Krishna was dragging us around a little bit, show us this and that, this and that. When he said, now I want you to do this. And I don't think this will be possible unless we actually gave ourselves into Krishna. This was a little sacrifice. For me, not so much, but more for my wife. But, it's not easy for a lady to don't have a, house and place to, to return. We have always lived in 2 suitcases. It's kind of difficult. But, again, not everybody needs to do this. I'm just saying this is what we did.
That's what I wanted to ask, Prabhuji, that how do you decide what you want to, do you decide depending upon what your likings are in Krishna consciousness, and then accordingly decide that, okay, this is what I relish and I like doing the most, Like, for example, you like preaching, so that is why you thought, or is it you ask your guru that how should I spend my vanaprastha life? How do you go about deciding this?
I decided, I'm a little bit older, and I was talking to some senior devotees. I talked to my guru, and my guru, when you're older, it's different. Your guru doesn't tells you do this, do that. It's a little bit different relationship. I'm 50 or over 50. It's different. When you're a younger devotees, like your guru says, I don't think that, but this is more like a working relationship. And so through all these discussions, I concluded that this is what we should do. Because I saw that we can do it, because I saw that, I can do it, and I saw that my wife can do it, that we have the power to tolerate. This is, you cannot just do this. Okay, I want to, even just to go to move to Vrindavan, it's not easy. It's not easy. This is a difficult place. Like now we have in difficult times here. You go to the temple, like 10 million people want to have darshan, shoveling you, elbowing you. It's so many people, and it's heat, and it's difficult, to and it's expensive also. To rent a monthly apartment or to buy a apartment is kind of expensive. But if people are rich, they can easily do this, So what I mean? So if someone is rich and they have a house and they said, okay, we don't want to do this anymore, they sell the house and they just buy an apartment, nice apartment in Mayapur. I know devotees from the West. They sold the house, and for them to buy an apartment in Mayapur for 50,000 euros, this is nothing, or 60,000 or 80. I know one devotee bought for 80,000. I don't have 80,000, But this devotee had it, and he just thought, I just buy an apartment. So he has an apartment in Mayapur.
But isn't that like living in your comfort zone?
Yes.
The sense of vanaprastha.
Yes, but it's a step higher than living in Europe, in your comfort zone. Because it's still, India is a little bit more austere for the Westerners. The weather, the diseases. So it's a step higher. But again, according to your own realization, in Krishna consciousness, we do everything according to our own realization. You cannot go beyond yourself. You can say, okay, when I was young devotee, like very young devotee, I joined in Vrindavan. And I was reading all these Rupa Goswami, sleeping 2 hours, and I thought I should sleep 4 hours. So then I made a plan at 12 o'clock. I'm awake until 12 midnight, and I sleep until 4. And I slept only 4 hours for maybe 2 weeks. I was reading so much and I chanted. And after 2 weeks, my guru said, he was kind of chastised. He said, why don't you go? There was one devotee from Delhi. Anyways, he was some kind of Ayurvedic doctor. He said, why don't you go with such and such devotee to Delhi for a few days and come back fresh, please? Because I don't know, I probably looked like hell, not sleeping. And I went to this devotee, and he had some nice rooms there. And I slept, I think, 12 hours without break. So my Rupa Goswami experience didn't last too much. So the point is this, that you act according to your own realization and your own capacity. You cannot do something which you cannot do. So I saw that me and my wife, we can do it. We can actually do it. And we did it for 3 years. We lived like this. And now is the time we realize, okay, this is over. This period of traveling is over. Because we came to an end. We saw it. There's no more point of traveling. We traveled. We proved ourselves that we can do it. Live in 2 suitcases. But now we want to do some service which is favorable to Krishna. And this is what we are. When we leave India, we'll go to back to Germany, believe it or not, and then we'll start a projects. It was a traveling of self-realization, to search ourselves, who we are, what is our capacity, how much dedication we want to have to Krishna, and how do we want to contribute to the Prabhupada's movement. This was not really clear to me, And now after this, it's clear, and now I know exactly what I want to do. And this is my personal, and my wife's capacity, In your own case or whatever other people's case, you have to see with, first of all, the friends. Second of all, the senior devotees you can trust. Not not like some big shiksha guru, but some devotee who knows you and they can say, this is a stupid idea. Some devotees just say, oh, I know you, you cannot do this. Don't do this. This is stupid. And then you can see ultimately with your guru, because it's a serious step, okay, vanaprastha, how much you want to, because ultimately, again, even if somebody does as simple as that, okay, I want to travel 6 months and 6 months stay at home. This is something, or I want to spend 6 months in Vrindavan and do regularly, whatever, chant 32 rounds. Or just stay at home and chant 64 rounds. There are different ways to do it. But the point is that vanaprastha means, okay, I am done with the kids. I'm done with feeding the family. They can feed themselves now. I want to pursue the spiritual life now. And this is the point of vanaprastha. So according to your, needs and capacity, and you can make this step further, because this is not the ultimate step. Maybe these people who go to sell the house and go to Vrindavan, buy an apartment, after 5 years they realize this is Maya. I'll sell this also, and move to ashram. It's Krishna consciousness is dynamic process. Is that all right?
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, or it's already 10 o'clock for me here.
So thank you very much, Prabhu, and we won't keep you any longer now.
Yeah.
I believe it's getting cold also in Vrindavan now.
No, it's not so bad actually. In the morning, it's still, you can do short sleeves. It's still okay. It's a little bit just cooler, it's like perfect. Now it's perfect. During the day, it's very nice. It's a little hot, but it's not much. I think another week or 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, it'll be a little bit colder in the morning. But right now it's very nice, like really nice. Now is the nicest weather, actually.
Oh, great. The autumn of Vrindavan.
Yes, it's very nice.
Oh, that's great. Because I'll be traveling to Mayapur also sometime soon, I hope.
Yes, Krishna Balaram are very nice, this I can say.
Oh, that's very good. Could you also visit the Govardhan?
No, we are going to Kartik will spend in Radhakund, Govardhan area. So
oh, that's great.
We spend 1 month there, so we'll have a time for Govardhan.
That's really the most the most suitable place for meditation in Vrindavan, I would say.
Yes. Vrindavan is difficult. Vrindavan has so many people. It's so difficult, to fight. Every darshan is like a big fight. Mangal Artik, you have to kind of like still all right, but still more and more people are coming, and people are walking, and crowds, and so we try to during the day to go to places which are less crowdy, and try to chant early in the morning, wake up a little earlier, and things like this.
Yeah, I mean, Vrindavan keeps getting more and more crowded every year.
Yeah, it's like almost, we went yesterday to see all these Bakandi Mahadev, Gornitai, and Radha Damodar, Radha Shamasundar, and we went to Purnamasi temple, and to get there is like a fighting through the third war. It's like cars and honking and rickshaws and is like, and thousands and thousands of Banki Bihari areas like flooded with people. You have to go through them, and it's like, and then when we come finally to temple, like, that was a big fight. Then you have to go back through again.
I can imagine.
Anyway.
I usually prefer to just stay in one place and chant when I go there.
Yeah, But you know,
It's very
we have to
elegant.
we are here. We have to see at least once. We have to have a darshan of these deities. You know, Rupa Goswami Samadhi.
Yeah.
But you know, but we will stay now. Once we see all the temples, we will just stay in the morning chanting Prabhupada Samadhi, and you know, and just stay in the room or go to Goshala. We stay in Goshala actually. Nice cows here. We just chant in front of the cows. It's nice. So,
Yes. Well, that's fortunate that you're in Vrindavan, Prabhu.
yes. Okay, I think I will be going to bed right now.
Sure, Prabhu. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope
Thank
to
you
see
for
you
your,
again soon.
yeah, thank you for your association. Maybe next time, you know, we see us, I don't know, alive, you know, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. We'll travel to Sweden maybe, and then maybe Helsinki. I don't know if are you
Yes.
living in Helsinki? Where do you live?
Yes, Prabhu. I live in Helsinki.
I see. All of you or just?
Just me and our Lisa Mataji here and Pranav Prabhu. Three of us.
Okay. Okay, anyways, thank you for your association and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you so much,
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
pranam. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
pranam ji.
Krishna, Prabhu Pranam.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam ji.
Hare